everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. What's happening, man?
Oh, man, not too much today, Bo. I did see something earlier this morning, and Cooper Flagg's jersey, his debut jersey, goes for $1 million.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, like they have so much and I know he's a great player. Look, I don't think this man's going to be a bust by any stretch of the imagination.
For sure.
But man, I mean, if it's at $1 million now, what if he goes on to have this enormous career? Well, how much of those jerseys going to be worth? Because that's a lot of cash flow.
Oh, I mean, any of those unique ones, right? Like those things are always worth money because it's even if he ends up being a bust, right? Yeah. Because then it'll be the like epic meltdown of a career. It'd be like that Ryan Leaf. You know, if you had a Ryan Leaf rookie debut jersey, right?
Yeah.
Like a worn one or whatever.
Yeah.
Even today, based on everything that's happened in his life where, you know, he bombs out of the NFL, gets in legal trouble. You know, it has all of those things. That jersey would still be worth a ton.
Oh, yeah. Then that makes me, since I know controversy seems to sell, I wonder how much Tanya Harding's skates would be worth.
I mean, the skates might be worth something. That bat definitely is.
Like, whoever got that bat is like, man, I got a gold mine on this one, you know? But no, it's just, I mean, I know sports jerseys and things like that, they can go for a lot of money. I know Michael Jordan's jersey went for, you know, I saw that somebody stole one of Michael Jordan's jerseys from the locker room. I don't remember what year it was, but they had gone there and did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah. He actually, he had to play the game in I think the number was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. I mean, you know, people do some crazy stuff.
I feel like they should be able to find out who did that. Because, I mean, that's got to be a limited, like, area to get into.
I mean, the thing is if you sneak past security, especially back then, right? They didn't have all the cameras we do today, right? So,
true.
Like, if you were to try to do that today, not only would the stadium cameras probably pick you up, but the 5 million cell phones that are in the room definitely would, right? So,
yeah.
You know, you're not getting away with any of that stuff anymore. But when you think back to that era, it was cameras, like it was actual cameras.
Right.
And then, you know, you had your couple of video cameras that were trained on the court. So there was nothing in the locker rooms. There's nothing really in the back halls, anything like that. So, I mean, it would have been much easier to do something like that back then.
Oh,
today,
sure.
There's zero chance.
So if Ryan Leaf's jersey's worth something, could you imagine how much Jamarcus Russell's jersey must have been worth?
So he didn't do anything after the fact, though.
True.
Like, he just kind of disappeared. So I don't know that his necessarily would. Leaf had such a tumultuous life after the NFL that I think that's what kind of does it. And then he's brought himself all the way around where he's on NFL Network and he speaks at events. He was one of those guest speakers at the Senior Bowl. So, I mean, he's done enough things after the fact that memorabilia like that still matters. Whereas Jamarcus, like he bombed out and then mostly just disappeared.
I gotta imagine, because in my mind, I'm thinking Jamarcus. There may have been another quarterback even worse than him, but I'm thinking with all the clout and obviously given the fact where he was drafted, do you? I think because I know Ryan Leaf was bad, but I think Jamarcus has to be the worst quarterback to be drafted that high. I don't know if anybody. Can you think of anybody else that was worse than him?
Yeah, I mean, the expectations were so high. They were for Leaf too. He just wasn't. He just wasn't mentally able to, you know, deal with everything. But I mean, Jamarcus Russell's right up there. Like, if you're talking about draft busts, there's no question. Like, he's in that conversation. There's no doubt.
Yeah, but that's interesting to me. You know, I think about how desperate Dallas has been at drafting quarterbacks or taking chances on quarterbacks. You know, they took a chance on Ryan Leaf. That didn't work out. They took a chance on Trey Lance, that didn't work out. They took a chance on Quincy Carter. And do you remember how bad Quincy Carter was? That guy was horrible. So,
I mean, Trey, like, you didn't give up anything to go get him.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You're like, hey, we'll take your quarterback that you guys gave up a ton of stuff to go get. And you're like, yeah, we'll give you like a half-eaten bag of Cheetos and a stick of bread. And they're like, yeah, cool. I mean, it's not like taking that flyer on him mattered, right? Now, if you're talking about, some of those where you're drafting number one, or like in Trey Lance's where they gave up like 3 picks to go get him. Yeah, that hurts when it doesn't work out.
Man, I'm telling you, I just know there's been a lot of so-called quarterbacks go through the Dallas ranks. I mean, obviously we landed on Romo, which is good. We landed on Dak, which was okay. But there have been a slew of quarterbacks, that have gone through there that were just horrible. I can't remember. There was one baseball player that they tried to have quarterback. It was Chad. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but I better remember him. He was like a Yankees pitcher that they got drafted by the Yankees, and they wound up playing for football for the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think he just kind of disappeared after that. But Dallas just has a string of just taking. I mean, they do a lot of chances, and I guess they try to strike gold that way. But I don't know. We haven't really had that good one since Aikman, honestly, that got us to the Super Bowl. Romo had his issues. Remember when Tony Romo, whenever we were going to go, I mean, we were there. All you had to do is just kick the football through the damn uprights. It wasn't even like a long one. It was like a 20-yard or something like that field goal. And he muffed it, and he tried to get into the end zone. I mean, do you remember that? I mean, it was just bad.
Of course I remember that. I was at that game, Jay.
So you got to see it in real life.
I got to see it right in front of me because I was even down at that end of the field. So when he fumbled that snap and he peeled off to run, I was on the opposite side. So basically, I was just behind the line of scrimmage on the right side, and he scrambled out to the left. So I got to watch him kind of run away from us. And the thing that's funny is I believe there was still a possibility of getting a first down. So although he could have scored a touchdown, I think he only needed like a yard and a half to technically get a first down on that play also. But kudos to the defense stopping him short. That the stadium absolutely erupted.
I would too.
Yeah.
Because everybody probably had to think, okay, this is it. They're going to get the field goal. They're going to get the win. We're going to go home pissed off. And then when it happens, they're like, oh, my God.
Well, yeah, because there's a playoff game,
exploded.
Right? We thought we were going to lose this playoff game at home. And so that play was huge. That play was huge. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, of course, Dak has had his moments. It just seems like, with those two quarterbacks, Romo and Dak, they just, when they get to the playoffs, I don't know what happens to them, but they just make so many critical errors, with that it's just, and then, of course, the team had carriage too. But
they're literally the same guy. When you look at the stats, they are the same guy.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Romo. Don is in here. I can't stand Romo. I didn't mind him. Like he was an entertaining personality. Honestly, he was a decent quarterback. His biggest thing is he just couldn't stay healthy.
That's right.
That dude was hurt all the time. That's probably one of the things that is interesting when you compare him to Dak, because Dak mostly has been healthy. He's missed a couple games in here and there, but not as many as Romo did. So when you're looking at the stats being very similar, it lets you know Romo was actually a better quarterback.
I mean, he could definitely air out the ball. Well, his idol was Brett Favre, right? I mean, that's who he grew up, idolizing or whatever.
When he's smart. He was able to read a defense. Like he was good mentally at the position. Right. He just wasn't durable.
Yeah, and that is the best ability is availability. So that and Dak really, you're right. Dak for the most part stayed healthy. I think it's like the last couple of years that he's just run into injuries. I think mostly with his ankle and things like that. But
yeah, but it's not like he's missed crazy amounts of time. In years he's been hurt. Most of the time it's like a couple of games and then whatever. Romo missed significant time quite a few times.
Since we're talking a little bit about Seattle,
So before you go there,
yeah,
the thing that's funny is you either like him or you don't. There doesn't seem to be a gray area for Romo. I appreciate his ability to diagnose a play, right? Like his normal commentary, I'm not a big fan of, but when you listen to him break down a play, and of course this is me being a nerd because I played football, and it's literally what you were looking for on the defensive side was trying to diagnose what the offense was going to do, right? So watching him do it is, that's where I appreciate his ability. Watching him, like, oh yeah, this is going to be a run out, with a screen block and a pulling guard. I can appreciate that because I like the X's and O's of football, and that's something that is generally missing when it comes to commentary. But again, that's only going to appeal to people that probably played.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be honest, Donna. Once what was that girl? What was once Carrie Underwood came into Romo's life, he didn't care. Would you care, Donna, if Carrie Underwood came into your life? You're like, yeah, football's great, but I'm kind of focusing on Carrie right now.
It wasn't Carrie though. It was Jessica Simpson.
That one too. Yeah, I remember you're right. I mean, let's be honest.
That was the one. That was the one where he really fell off. Like his gameplay, like it was noticeable around the country. You're just like, oh, they started dating and he forgot how to play football.
The power of a woman can destroy a quarterback's career. I'm telling you. I think Travis. I mean, even Travis kind of fell off a little bit after he got with Taylor Swift. I mean, he hasn't really. Yeah, I mean, his hairstyle changed, his dressing changed. I mean, that man became a different person.
Yeah, that's not the part that I'm worried about. It was the fact that you could see that he just wasn't putting the same work in. He was much slower. And then he didn't really recover from that. This last year, he still looked really slow. That's why I think he's going to ultimately retire, especially with Mahomes going to miss most of the year.
You don't think he comes back for one more? You think he's just going to call it? I mean, I don't blame him for calling it. I mean he's had a.
What are you coming back for? Because your quarterback isn't going to be there.
Yeah. So
you're going to have whoever your backup quarterback is going to be this year, right? Because we don't really know that yet. But I mean, so you're going to have a backup quarterback. You're in a division that's getting tougher. I mean, you're looking at a season that you probably have a good shot at missing the playoffs again. I mean, I don't know if you return for that when you have all of these off the field opportunities that are ready to go as soon as you say, hey, I'm retired. Then he can do his podcast, New Heights, more. I know he's going to have as much TV opportunity as he wants on whatever network he wants to go to.
Oh, sure.
I mean, when you're looking at all of the off the field stuff, unless you're really trying to spend the next 2 years getting the all-time yardage record, there's really nothing else to come back for. You have multiple rings, and the team that you'd be coming back to really isn't set up to win. Like if your team was set up like, hey, this thing is a front runner to go win another ring, sure. You're like, hey, you know what? Let's do it one more time. I want to add some hardware. But when you're looking at a team that isn't going to have all of your best guys, and you're like, well, we're probably going to miss the playoffs. Like, what are you coming back for?
Kansas City intrigues me, though. They intrigue me for a couple of reasons. Number one, Bieniemy's back, and I know that Patrick won't be there now, and maybe it won't be this season that they do anything, because you're right, Patrick Mahomes going to miss a lot of time. But what about the season after that? Because I'm looking at Rashee Rice now. He's got some legal troubles. I don't know what's going to happen with that whole situation. Mm-hmm. But Tyreek Hill is a free agent, and could they bring Tyreek and put him back in the book? They'll probably get him at a cheaper price because he's coming off that big leg injury. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if they do anything this year, but maybe the year after, if they play it right, they could make some noise next season.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be like, again, this coming year is probably going to be a rough year for him. But then when you're thinking of Kelsey, so what, you're gonna hang out for at least 2 more years? I mean, I don't see that.
Yeah, I know. I don't think. I think you're right about Kelsey. I think he probably. And then, and again, like you said, once the Taylor came into his life, I think he really focuses more on that end of it now and the entertainment side of it now. And I think you're right. I think he has lost some of the drive that it takes to compete at the highest level of football. So I do believe that. And I do think he's probably going to fade to the right side and then go do that side of life. And that probably is a good thing for him. He's got a couple of rings. He's got money. He's good. His girlfriend's a billionaire. I mean, he don't want for anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there's not a lot of drive to come back, right?
Right.
Like when now he's a free agent, so he could go anywhere. Like if somebody else wanted to throw some money at him to come play tight end for a year, I mean, maybe he does that. I don't know. I just don't see, unless you just really had love to want to get back into it. Like I get that. Like if that's the thing is like, hey, I want to play until the wheels fall off. Fair enough. Who am I to say, don't go chase that dream, right? But that's why I appreciated that Rivers came back. He's like, I just wanted to play again. I get it. Like,
yeah,
if my body could hold up to it, I'd lace them up tomorrow. So I completely understand. But but if outside of that, unless you just really love going through all of that, your potential landing spot probably isn't good. So do you want to come back to either the team you've been on that isn't going to be great, or probably another bad team? Because most of the good teams already have their guy.
Yeah. I could honestly see the Patriots, who have a ton of cap space, making an offer to him on a 1 year or a 2 year, whatever is palatable to him. And, you have Drake May, who's a good quarterback. You got a good offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels. You got good run. I mean, you got all the intangibles on that offense. And he could just be that guy that takes some of the pressure off of Stephon Diggs or whoever else, in that short yardage type situation. I can see that being a possible. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I can see that being a possible landing spot.
Yeah, I could see Tyreek more likely than Travis. Just because that team is so young.
Right.
They're probably going to, and they have a ton of draft picks and stuff. The Patriots would probably go, I could see them going draft when it comes to some of those other pieces. But with Diggs being in the legal trouble that he's currently in, they may need one of those veteran receivers. And I could see them taking like a Tyreek. But yeah. I don't see them going after Travis because, again, that's that diminishing returns kind of thing, right? Like he hasn't looked great the last 2 years. So I don't know what over that film you think, oh, this offseason, that's going to be the one he rebounds in his. I mean, he wasn't even the best tight end on his team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah,
I'm with you here, Donna. I think he probably retires. And yeah, he's probably going to be on a morning show or something like that.
But I think that is definitely one position. Even with Diggs healthy, I still feel like that is the one position that really is hurting that offense in New England. Is I don't think they still had that. They're still in search of that number one guy. I
mean, Diggs was actually really good for him. That's all they had.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
If Diggs were to come back and they also had Tyreek, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, like that could be interesting. And, this is assuming that Tyreek Hill comes back at least 80% of what he was, right?
Right.
Obviously, we don't know if that's going to be the case either. So,
Because they had Diggs. They also had that guy Boot, however you say his last name. He's really, I've seen that guy make some really good catches. You could put him at the third option. And then if you had a Tyreek who had blazing speed, if he does come back, even if he gets close to where he was at, that's still probably better than most of the receivers in the league. And you can use Tyreek as a number 2 and still have Stephon as the number 1. And that might not be a bad combination.
Exactly.
With the run game and everything, that might not be a bad. That might not.
No. If you could keep them both, that'd be amazing. Obviously, you have to wait to see what happens with the court case for Diggs.
Yeah, you do.
And of course, for anybody watching that somehow missed this story, he allegedly did some domestic violence and strangling, and so it's a very real case that is happening. So we'll see how that plays out, but yeah, I mean, if they were to go pick up Tyreek for relatively cheap, and then somehow keep Diggs, provided he's
available.
It rules in his favor, right? Obviously that changes the way that team looks. Otherwise, they're going to have to use some of those 11 draft picks and go get some receivers.
My thing is, even if he clears the legal hurdle side of it, I still think there's possibly a real scenario where they could fine him a number of games or suspend him a number of games. The NFL would take action, possibly.
Yeah, so it just depends
on their conduct policy. I think it is. I think they usually do that.
It depends on how it gets ruled, right? So if he gets ruled where he's not guilty in any facet, then nothing's going to happen, right? It also depends on what the evidence is, right? Like they weren't going to really do anything to Ray Rice until that elevator video came out. And then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we got to kind of suspend you, man. So it's it really depends on it. Well, we'll put it this way. The NFL cares about the NFL, right?
Oh, sure.
So they are about protecting their brand. So if it's domestic violence and there's no video, they don't really care that much, right? But if there is some damning video, then they're like, hey, you know what? We have to look like we did something here. And that's where the suspensions come out, because they really weren't going to do anything to Ray Rice, right? Like the story was out there and it was domestic violence and all of this, and they were going to really not do anything. And then that video came out, and then he had an indefinite suspension, right?
Right. Well, the interesting thing about that was even the NFL at a certain point said, okay, Ray, suspension's over, you can come back into the league. But no team wanted to go within a mile of that guy. Like nobody wanted any part of that.
No, that was so egregious, right? Like that was like next level over the top type of stuff. And of course, there's a lot of backstory, and people try and justify what happened and whatever, and none of it makes sense. But yeah, so there was no team that was going to take that on, because you were going to get such a negative perception no matter how that works. But yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the NFL, they don't really care about anything unless it damages their image or their integrity, right? Which is why they're so heavy on gambling. And they're so heavy on anything that has video to it. That's where the suspensions. Outside of that, you can kind of do whatever. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you a fine. Yeah.
But you're right. Hey, as long as there's no video, hey, you know what? We'll give you a small little suspension, but you're good. Don't worry about it.
No, a lot of times if there's not video, it's a fine. Yeah. That's it.
Different subject matter. So obviously, Clint Kubiak leaves your team, goes and becomes the head coach of the Raiders. Now he takes your quarterback coach and makes him the offensive coordinator with the Raiders as well.
Yep.
So you guys are going to have to do they have anybody in mind to take over those two spots to continue where they left off? Or is there anybody you would like to see come over?
So we did hire a OC.
Okay.
In fact, let me grab that, because oddly enough, I have it. I hit the wrong thing. It's there we go. Hit the wrong button. So we got Seattle Seahawks hire Brian Fleury. And he was the tight ends coach for the 49ers and was for since about 2019. They run a similar style offense. So in theory, this should be a pretty decent hire. It's interesting because it's in the same division, right? As you're snagging him from the 49ers. So then do they also get some intel into the way the Niners work, because he's been there for so long. He's got to know the ins and outs of that Niners offense pretty well. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. He's a biker, dude.
No question.
He does have that look. I think if you put a Hell's Angels jacket on him and a Harley, and yeah, you're pretty much right there. And so, I was kind of wondering how that was going to work out. Because Clinton did such a good job for you guys. He really, got the most out of Darnold. That run game. Even when you lost Charbonnet, Walker stepped in real nice. So are you guys expecting? I'm assuming you're expecting to lose Walker at some point.
Yeah. And so this is the guy they took. This was the quarterback's coach that the Raiders took, and yes, this move made sense though. I mean, obviously it's elevating him to OC, but he came to Seattle with Kubiak.
Yeah.
So he was his quarterback's coach. Now he's going to elevate him. Kubiak's still going to be calling this offense. So this actually makes sense to bring him along. So yeah. As far as your other question though, Walker, they don't have any habit of overpaying running backs here in Seattle. I fully expect him to be released, or he's free agent, so I guess they don't have to do anything. But yeah, I don't expect them to retain him. He's going to want too much, and other teams are going to give him money, right? Like he's going to make somewhere in that 10 to 12 mil a year, and he had a great year, won the Super Bowl MVP. Someone's going to throw some very real money at him.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And honestly, I think just with the good play of Charbonnet, I think they kind of made him a little bit expendable because Charbonnet, once he comes back healthy, he's a hell of a running back as well. So I think that kind of opened the door for him to leave, and then they can find somebody else, pay him less money, and then take up that number 2 spot behind Charbonnet. I'm thinking. Yeah.
So I mean that's the thing is they drafted Walker in the second round, and then the next year they drafted Charbonnet in the second round. Like until this year, we haven't had a running back make it through the season, a starter not land on IR since 2014. So they're not they don't really pay running backs because we can't keep them healthy. So I mean, when you think back to all the guys we've had here, the Chris Carsons, Rashad Pennies, like all these guys, they all ended up on IR multiple times during their time here. And so, yeah, they're not going to pay him. I'll be really surprised if they do. I'm not saying the chances are zero. Anything can happen, but I'd be really surprised if they paid Walker.
Well, you know what they say, Bo. You're also really surprised when the Mariners brought in free agents.
Well, I mean, we're talking about 40 years of history.
I know.
Doing it, but yeah. I mean, and that's why I say that there's a chance.
And let's be honest, though, you guys are getting ready to sell that team, and I'm wondering how the new ownership group and what their approach is going to be in terms of paying players and things like that, because that could change that dynamic.
Yeah, it won't matter because the sale won't happen before that.
Oh, no, I mean, it's going to be a little bit. But, I mean, over time, though, that your ability to pay people, I mean, depending on how they spend money, this new ownership group, I mean, that could change hopefully for you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you have an ownership change, it is always interesting to see if the philosophy changes with it. Now, hopefully we get somebody as committed to winning as what, Paul Allen and the group,
right.
The estate group were, but yeah. And so they want to sell. It was actually part of Paul Allen's will is that Jody Allen didn't want to be in the sports business anyway. And so as soon as he passed, all of their sports franchises had to be sold. They're in the middle of selling the Portland Trail Blazers right now.
Yeah.
And, if you're looking at Seattle, you knew that it was going to take a little bit of time because we were getting close to the end of the Pete Carroll era. A couple of years ago when we started talking about this, we basically all alluded to, they're probably going to wait until there's the new coach in there. And we were thinking that Schneider would also be gone. So we were like, new coach, new GM, once they get those solidified, then they'll put the team up for sale. And the only reason I thought it would go that route is because the Broncos went the other direction and they suffered for it, right? They spent an insane amount of money. The Walmart guys.
Oh, Sam Walton.
Yeah, there we go. They spent a ton of money for Denver, and it didn't work out right away because they had to overcome, just weird decisions that the previous owner made. So, you look into this and it's like, okay, well, now they've solidified a team. They have their GM for a long term. They have their coach. They just won a Super Bowl. So if you were ever going to sell, this is when your valuation is going to be one of the highest, because you have a team that's ready to go back and win again. So if you're a new owner, you can come in, and if this team goes back to back and be like, oh, look, we won a Super Bowl in our first year. You did nothing for it. Right. So I mean, that's kind of part of it. But this is kind of right in that timeline that we were all talking about. So you're a couple years into this, you win a Super Bowl like that. That's about as good of a situation as you can go. And, funny enough, like that is one of the topics that I wanted to hit today. So this is the valuation of teams as of last year. And, this was obviously before Seattle wins the Super Bowl. So they'll probably be closer to 8 billion, right? So they'll be a top 5 team roughly when it comes to the sale. What's happening, Moose? But of course, Dallas is still always up there at the top.
That's right, Bo. We might not win a Super Bowl, but damn it if we're not at the top of the most valuable.
That's right. Y'all are worth a lot. Not worth a lot of wins, but you're worth a lot of money. But yeah, no, it's so yeah, that'll put Seattle somewhere in the top 5, top 7-ish probably when they do finally sell. One thing interesting about selling a team in the NFL is they require the primary to be at least 30% of the total bill. So that means somebody in there is going to have to bring what, 3 billion to the game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely your elite earners out there that even have a shot at this.
When I look at this list, I'm really surprised. Crazy. Yeah, Jerry Jones is crazy, but I'm really surprised at how high on the earnings or the value is for the Jets. I didn't think they were. I mean, I know they're in New York. I know Woody Johnson has a lot of money, but it's just crazy how high they're on that evaluation. Does that shock you, or is that where you think they should be?
No, because you're talking about a large market team, right?
Right.
And you're talking about the New York City, not New York total. Just New York City has more population than most states.
You're right. You're right. So I just feel like, but they have to share some of that though with the Giants. I thought the Giants might take some of that, which I mean they're at number 3, but I thought that might hurt them a little bit because it's a dual team city. But I guess you're right. But that population,
yeah, I mean, when you're talking about New York City,
right,
just as itself, and then say you cut it in half, right? Say it's a perfect 50-50 split for the Giants Jets.
Right.
That population is still probably more than 2 or 3 times the entire suburban Seattle area.
All right.
So I mean, no, it doesn't shock me at all.
Then I guess on that theory, which I hear what you're saying, and I believe you're correct on that. But now that kind of makes sense why Kansas City Chiefs, even though they've had the success they've had, Kansas City is not exactly a huge market. I mean, that's out in the Midwest. So I guess that I can see maybe that's why that evaluation would be where it's at. Is my thinking correct?
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the teams that are at the bottom here, I mean, a lot of these are smaller markets. And it just has to do with advertising sales and ticket sales and all the other things that go along with it, right? So these aren't numbers based on success, obviously. I mean, you have the Jets and the Bears and the Raiders, right? I mean, like these guys are all in the top 10. You can't tell me that they've had great success over the last 20 years, right?
Oh, heck no.
So no, this has more to do with their marketability, has less to do with actual wins on the field. Because otherwise, like some of these teams that are towards the bottom, like the Bills, they've won a ton of games.
Yeah.
But but Buffalo's not a huge market.
No, not with all that dang snow. Anybody want to go to Buffalo?
I mean, it just not even just that, but like just the Buffalo area isn't huge. And then it is split with the other New York teams. And so, I mean, it's kind of, they're in a weird spot. So now other teams that are near the bottom do make some sense, like Arizona, not a huge market. Jacksonville, not a huge market. The Bengals, not a huge market, and they kind of suck. So I mean, like
yeah.
When you're some of it has to do with the way that the organizations are laid out also. If you're going into a Bengals situation, it's not exactly great. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah. Of course, the values will be a little different today, right? This is as of last year. So all of these numbers will have gone up, but it won't have gone up significantly, right? Because we're talking about, numbers in the billions. So it's not like last year to this year, outside of Seattle probably gets a bump for winning, right? So instead of being close to 7, they'll probably be close to 8. But outside of that, these numbers are probably going to be relatively close. So if you're looking at like the Bengals at the bottom there, that's at 5.25, I would bet that it might be at like 5.27, 5.30, right? Like it's not going to be a significant bump. Same with Dallas at number 1. I would bet that the number shift is nominal, right? Like it may not even necessarily show up as anything, because this is literally going, 13 billion. And then the 0.0, that 0 would be, $100 million. So, I mean, you'd need a significant bump just to even get that number to rise. So, I don't think the numbers would move enough that the graphic is just irrelevant. Right.
No, I think that number is probably going to stay. I would be shocked, like you said, that Cowboys number if it shifted. I think if the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, that might make a good little bump, because all of Dallas would be going crazy because it's been 30 years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You probably see that thing shift by $1 billion.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it would be nuts, because everybody would be buying merchandise off the chain.
Yeah.
If that happened.
But this isn't really based on that so much. It just has to do with all of the other marketability of it.
Right.
I mean, you could sell all the jerseys on the planet, and that's not going to move the needle a whole lot. But when you're talking about TV deals and, all of advertisers and all of those types of things, that's what really drives that valuation up. So, but, if Dallas did happen to win one, I would expect a bump. But yeah.
Could you imagine? I think if Dallas won, that would hurt Stephen A so dramatically. Because Stephen A is like the biggest Cowboy hater I think I've ever seen.
He is.
I think he would lose half his material. I love it when he has the Cowboy hat on and the cigar. I love that, man. I'm like,
oh, okay. Yeah. No, he always goes after Dallas, and it's the thing that's funny is it has nothing to do with Dallas. It has to do with the Dallas fans.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And he always loves. I've seen that man roast Jerry on an interview before.
Oh yeah,
and Jerry just sits there like, I don't care. I'm rich as hell. It doesn't matter.
Jerry is pretty good about it unless he's in his feelings right after a loss. Then he gets a little uptight, or if the team's been struggling, whatever, he can get a little uptight on the radio, stuff like that. But usually he can take those pokes in stride, right? Like he's actually pretty good about that.
And he loves publicity too. Let's be honest. Even if it's negative publicity, he loves publicity.
Yeah, he just wants to be in. He wants to be in the eyes of everybody, right? Like he doesn't even necessarily care if his team wins. He says he does, but like he just wants to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, I think if he truly gave a damn about winning, he would have already removed himself as GM and brought in a legit GM, and he would have did a Robert Kraft. Let me just get the right guy in, and then he'll get the right coach, and then it'd be a domino effect. Because Jerry does have a great ability to evaluate talent. He is good at that. But they need a GM that's going to bring in the right coach. I mean, he should have never fired Jimmy Johnson. Let's be honest. I mean, why are you firing Jimmy? The guy's been winning the whole time.
That wouldn't have mattered by today, though. Like, say you kept Jimmy, you would have had him for another 4 years, and he would have won that other Super Bowl that Switzer got. And that's kind of it, though. Like, the team was starting to come apart at that point anyway. So I don't know that Jimmy Johnson would have had a ton more success. He would have obviously had one more ring. You can even say, hey, maybe they liked playing for him better. He wins 2 more. But then that would have been the end of his career there anyway.
And that's what I'm saying. I think if he would have had like a legit GM, that legit GM would not have fired Jimmy at the height of it. He would have waited until, okay, the wheels are falling off. We're not doing anything. Bam. Okay. Hey, Jimmy, man, we appreciate your service. You're going to go into the Ring of Honor. Hey, we love you, man. But now it's time to go in a different direction. And then they probably would have hired a coach that would have been a legitimate bona fide guy, and not just a yes man. At some point, I think.
No, because Jerry would still be involved. See, that's the problem, is you need Jerry to be a different human, and that's not a real thing.
I needed to be Robert Kraft. I needed to be Robert Kraft, because Robert Kraft I don't think he meddles or anything. I think he hires the people, and then they do their jobs, and he just pulls back on it. He
meddles a little bit. It's why Tom Brady was able to call him and get Jimmy G out of town, right? Because Bill wanted to move on from Brady.
That's crazy.
He wanted to move on from Brady. And because let's be honest, when Brady got hurt, Garoppolo came in and balled out.
Yeah.
Like, he played incredibly well for the Patriots. So, he wanted to move on. Brady was getting old. They were starting to have their issues anyway. And so Kraft is who was like, get him out of town. Like, that was the thing. So Kraft does meddle a bit, but he doesn't meddle the way Jerry does.
Right. I just wonder, how much did Bill, because you're right, we give it based on that story that he wanted Garoppolo because he's balling out. How much did Bill, he must have really hated it when Tom went and got another Super Bowl with Tampa. Like, that must have,
you have to think he low-key hated the fact that he was told he had to keep Brady, and then they won another Super Bowl.
Right.
After he wanted him out of town. Like, yeah, you're happy you won, but low-key you were like, I wanted this guy out of here. It sucks because now we won and I'm going to have to keep him. You know what I mean? So I think some of that probably was in there too, because you could tell towards the end of their time together, there were issues for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to the Raiders real quick. Now that they've hired a really good coach in Kubiak, and they brought in, that quarterback coach, which did a great job, and they had that chemistry. They have really good pieces to work with, especially if they wind up drafting Mendoza, right? And then you got, Bowers, and you got Gentry. That's some really good pieces to work with. Do you think how long do you think it's going to be before they really turn the ship and start, really piling on some wins? Is that a 3-year deal, you think, before you see that, or a 2-year deal, or?
No. So I would say that this coming year, they're going to take a step forward. Right? They're not going to be good, but they'll be interesting. And then the next year, they'll kind of start turning it around, because you're also in that same timeline looking at a KC team that is aging out. You're going to be looking at a Broncos team that's going to have to start paying people. And then you have a Chargers that are the Chargers, and you don't really know what's ever going to happen there. So in that scenario, you're looking at a Raiders team that this next year, they're probably going to be a 7 or 8 win team, right? But they're going to beat some teams that they have no business beating, and they're going to lose to some bad teams. And that's how they're going to end up as a 7-8 win team, but they'll be entertaining. So if you're a Raiders fan, you're going to love that, because this last year was anything but entertaining. And then you go into the year after that, then you're starting to kind of solidify some pieces. Plus, you got to think they have some of the most cap space to spend. They have some nice pieces on the roster. They have the number 1 overall pick, but they have 8 total picks. And then there's a chance that they could get 2 more comp picks. So if you're looking at 8 to 10 picks plus the number 1 overall and close to $100 million in cap space, you can really start to reshape this team this year. Now, again, it's a tough division. I don't expect them to be good, but I do expect them to take a very real step forward.
Crosby, stays or goes? What are you thinking?
He got on Colin Cowherd's show, I want to say, I think it was last week. and basically came out and said, he likes where he's at. He just is focusing on himself, being the best player he can be there, and that he stopped trying to dispel, rumors and stuff like that, because then they just twist his words anyway. So he's just like, yeah, I just let you guys run with whatever you want. And so it doesn't sound like there's the pressure from his end to get out of Vegas. Plus, I mean, at this point, you're getting paid and everything's changing. So you may want to hang out for at least one more year to see what this team could be.
Right. And I think, like Joe was saying, if Mendoza is able to translate the success he had at Indiana over to the Raiders, that, like you said, that could be really significant. I mean, that's going to do a lot for Brock Bowers. I want to see how they do. Obviously, the Raiders got to do something with that offensive line. Genty had a hard time. I mean, he got his yards, but he had a hard time over there. And I think maybe something that you could attribute to his rookie campaign, right? He made some silly mistakes on his route running. Sure. But they definitely need to do some more work on that offensive line, especially the trenches on both sides, really, of that ball.
Yeah, well, and Scott, that's exactly the thing, is with the amount of money they have and the draft picks, I expect them to go after, fixing that offensive line. Their defense isn't as bad as the numbers would indicate. The offense was just so bad that the defense suffered for it. But I do expect them to address the line. And so, and this is 100% right. I would not be shocked at all if Shaheed is headed to the Raiders, because your head coach and your OC were the coaches that brought him from New Orleans. So it would not shock me in the slightest if Shaheed is a Raider right after the league year ends, next week, end of this week, something like that.
And also the right guard from the Browns, they let him go, so he's going to be available. Teller, I think his name is.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they maybe go after him and try to put some veteran leadership on that offensive line.
Yeah, well, and they, I mean, again, they have a ton of money, so they may, on the defensive side, try and go snag Trey Hendrickson too, right?
Oh yeah,
you put
that's a good
him
one.
Next to Crosby, all of a sudden, that is a very interesting defense. So they have a lot of things that they can do with the amount of money and draft picks and everything. So again, that's why I think Vegas is going to be an interesting team to watch this offseason, because they could make some key moves to make them at least fun to watch.
Yeah, I would say if you were saying what are the two exciting teams to watch in free agency in the draft, it would be New England and the Raiders, because both of them have a lot of cap and both of them have a lot of picks. So I think that I would say if he said who's going to take the biggest jump, I would think probably those two teams, just on where they are with the free agency and the draft.
Yeah, so the biggest jump is a weird way to word it, though, because like the Raiders probably take the biggest jump.
Right.
You can't really take a big jump from where New England just was.
I mean, true. I think more so just shoring up more on that defensive side of the ball for them, and maybe some of on the offensive line. I mean, they still got some spots that they need to work on that really got exposed with Seattle.
Yeah, they need some help on the offense. Obviously, the offensive line has to get better. They need some weapons, but they have 11 picks and close to $100 million as well. So, I mean, they're a team that I think their record won't be as good this year, but the team will be better, right? So their team will actually be a better team than what we saw in the Super Bowl this year, but they are probably going to win 2 or 3 games less than they did this year. Right. Because they're going to have a much harder schedule than what we saw for 25. So they're probably going to drop some of those games, but they'll be a better, more complete team.
Speaking of players, what are you thinking about? I still keep seeing things swirling around, and I know this is probably the dead part of the season, so I think you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff out there. But Antonio Brown, man, is it Antonio Brown?
What about him?
No, AJ Brown. I'm saying Antonio. I'm sorry, I'm getting my Browns mixed up. AJ Brown for the Eagles. I keep seeing headlines where people are talking about it, and I know, like we talked about yesterday. Especially when I brought up Get Up, and you're like, hey, that's a lot of dead zone. So, but do you put anything? Because it's not like they weren't talking about this or speculating about this during the season.
Yeah.
Do you think that becomes a thing, or do you think they wind up keeping him regardless?
It's tough to say. It really depends on what they can get for him. I don't think they're opposed to moving him, right? So if you can get the right draft compensation for it, I expect them to take the deal, right? And it won't have to be something over the top. I mean, Brown has had some issues over the last couple of years. So it won't shock me if he's not on this team, but it's going to take the right compensation, right? And then they also have to have their eye on another receiver. So,
and then who are you going to bring in that's going to be as good as what AJ was?
Yeah. And Scott, that's the thing, is he will cost them money to move. But we've seen the Eagles do that, right? We watched them dump Carson Wentz where they had to eat $44 million worth of cap, right? So, I mean, the guarantee wasn't that high, but the cap hit was rough. And, I mean, they still did it. So if they can go find a receiver in the draft, or they can go get one of these guys that, is relatively cheap comparatively, you can eat that cap hit and keep moving forward. You've seen teams do it. I mean, the Broncos did it with Russell Wilson. They ate almost $200 million worth of cap. And they were just like, yeah, it's cool. I just go. It's fine.
Just get out. You're bad when they're willing to take that much of a cap hit. Like, you really had to war out that welcome bad.
I mean, when you have $200 million worth of contract that you've never taken a snap for, and they're like, yeah, it's cool, just go play somewhere else.
Just go somewhere.
That's wild, right? So, I mean, the cap hit doesn't necessarily deter anything if your replacement is cheap enough. So you could go replace him with a Tyreek Hill or a Mike Evans, or, I mean, there's going to be guys available. So I don't know that you necessarily have to keep him, but you're not going to give him away for nothing either. So if you're going to eat the cap hit, you're going to be like, look, it's going to cost you, a 1 and a 2 or something like that for AJ Brown. And, a team that's close might do it.
I have seen on Facebook lots and lots and lots of videos of Antonio Brown. I'll go back to him for a second. I have seen a lot of videos of him working out, showing that he still has it. I mean, doing box jumps, sprints, route running, catching football. I mean, he's done a lot, and he's posted it all on Facebook. Do you think a team out there could take a flyer on a vet minimum deal and just see if he could do something? Maybe just a camp invite and see if he can make the team? Or do you think he is just thoroughly done with football all the way around?
For who?
Just for anybody. Just for anybody that's looking to taking a chance on him.
No. For which player? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Antonio Brown. I don't know if have you seen that?
God, no.
I mean, I know mentally he's a head case, but I gotta tell you, some of the videos I saw though.
A head case is putting it nicely. That dude's brain is a bag of cats. Like, you are not taking a flyer on that. His athletic ability is way overshown by the fact that he quit on his team mid-game.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a lot of stuff off the field and they'll be like, hey, you know what? You show up every day on the field, so like, we're cool. But you watched him quit on the Raiders because of a helmet, and then he froze his foot and was like, they dumped him before the season even started.
Yeah.
Then he goes to New England and flames out immediately too. Goes to Tampa, he gets a ring, and then the next year he's putting up deuces, running shirtless through the end zone. Like, there's no chance any team is looking at that and be like, yeah, we can count on that guy. So
well, that's what I thought. Maybe would they take at a vet minimum where it wouldn't cost him really anything other than just a vet minimum contract, just to see if they could.
No.
But you don't think that would be enough to entice him?
No. If he were to pay a team $10 million, they wouldn't do it.
That's definitely, yeah.
So, I mean, you just can't rely on him to actually play. And
right.
You know how we always say, best ability is availability.
Yeah.
Like, he can quit on your team with nothing wrong. So there's just no way you're going to do that. Especially because there's just other talent out there. And he's enough years removed from football. Like, who knows if he's even good enough to play at that level. I mean, again, elite athlete. If he would have mentally been able to keep it together, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he gets there.
Speaking of the draft real quick, I know we're getting close to time, but real quick, I know one of Dallas's big, they just brought in that guy Parker, I think his last name is, from the Eagles, to be our new defensive coordinator. And, I was looking at his who he's been under. I mean, obviously Fangio, probably had a huge impact on him. He was with the Packers over there for a little while, and I know they had a pretty good impact on him. So I kind of feel good about this situation that we're getting into. And he said it's a day-by-day thing, and that they're going to look. They need help at every position, probably with the exception of tackle. And I'm wondering, the Dallas has the 12th and the 20th pick in this year's draft, and I'm wondering if a team would take those packaged together, like around the 6 or 7 spot, to where they could get Bain and bring him in.
I don't think you'd necessarily need to overpay for a draft pick this year. You got 2 two quarterbacks that are going to go at the top, and then there's nothing there. And then the rest of the first round, outside of a running back that's probably going to go 10 to 12, outside of that, it is a lot of guys in the trenches. It's a lot of offensive line, defensive line. There's some linebackers. Like, that is going to dominate your first round. Like, a lot of your skill guys are going to be like late first round, probably mostly second round. Like, most of your first round is going to be in the trenches. It's just kind of the way that this draft has come together. The skill guys just aren't as good as they've been over the last couple of years.
And oddly enough, that's what Dallas needs the most, though, is work in the trenches.
No, exactly, which is why I don't think you trade to move around, because you can get similar talent through most of that first round at those positions. So I don't think you necessarily have to move around unless there's just one specific guy that they really wanted to go get. But you don't really need to do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and that's gonna be interesting to see what Dallas does. Because, like I said, I mean, they have so many needs, not so much on the offense, except for the offensive line needs a little bit of work. But that defense, my God, man, we were like dead last in just about every statistical category there was for the defense. So he's got his work cut out for him. Yeah, he's got his work cut out big time.
Yeah, no, it was definitely rough. And it was funny because there's been a lot of Niners fans that keep trying to talk about, oh, we won all these rings and all this, and we hate the Seahawks, which, it's division. So I get it. Now, mind you, they won all their rings before the Seahawks were even in this division. So there is that little element. So I figured it would be fun for the Niner fans that are tuning in. So since 2002, which is when Seattle entered your division, if we just go across the line here, let's see how we stack up against the Niners. Let's see. Playoff appearances, 18-14. Division titles, 10-6. Super Bowl appearances, 4-3. And then there's the last little category that I feel like is important. Super Bowl wins, 2 to is that a 0? Yeah. Okay. So calm down. So,
bro, bringing the hate today.
There's been a lot of it from Niners fans are like, we got these 5 rings, and you're just like, yeah, that's fine. We're not taking anything away from that, but it was 30 years ago, and we weren't even in your division, so we don't really care that much. In the 90s,
like 4 score and 3 decades ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Now, don't get me wrong, we were terrible in the era that they were winning Super Bowls. So had we been in that division, we'd have still been losing. So like, I'm not pretending like had we been in the division, we would have won, because we were awful in the night, especially the early 90s. So 95.
Yeah, that was the same time frame as the Cowboys. That was in that Cowboy 49er back and forth run. That was the last time. And then when that came to an end, yeah, all that stopped.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We'll put it that way.
Let's put it this way. Bo had hair the last time they won the Super Bowl, okay?
Last time they won the Super Bowl, I think I was in junior high.
Exactly. So he had hair.
The Niners drought gets talked about a lot, actually. It gets compared to the Cowboys a ton, just because they are intermingled in the timeline. The difference is everyone talks Cowboys because the Cowboys talk about the Cowboys nonstop.
Yeah, it's true. I used to be one of those people, and then I And then I hate eating that much humble pie. And
yeah,
exactly. So you're going to eat so much humble pie, and then you're like, no, I'm done. I'm off this bandwagon.
Yep. That being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.
But he said...